Hello everyone and welcome to a little bit of behind the scenes of our joint survival series. I'm joined here by Sage and Scott once again. So say hi guys.
Hello!
So the main part of doing this little behind the scenes is I wanted to talk about the series, how it progressed, different things that we liked, our favourite ships, our favourite moments, and what caused us also to go our different ways and want to try different things within the series themselves. So when we first originally started this, it was just me and Sage. And we had, I think it was a little tiny red ship, wasn't it? That was crashed into an asteroid.
It was the original starting red ship, which is, I think, way better than the newer starting crash red ship. Because if you messed up that start, you could actually restart the game. I think, did we ever put that out? There was one episode we recorded where we got to a point where we're like, wait a minute, we used this computer component in this thing, and we can't get it back now.
We misused it, didn't we?
Yeah, and we basically had to restart, because if you used it wrong, you couldn't build an assembler, and then you find yourself just running out of everything.
Yeah, so basically with that, you really had to plan your survival, and you could fuck up and die really quickly at the beginning and ruin it. And I think didn't we waste the whole episode doing that? Was it one whole episode or two when we realized?
2 episodes worth of stuff there where we had started building a base and then realized, like, listen, we're not going to be able to carry on. I think I was like, we'll just spawn in one little thing, and you said, no, this is silly, we should restart the whole thing, so we went back and restarted it all.
I think that was because we got focused on aesthetics, didn't we? Started building nice little things.
The game could be.
Yeah, it was really harsh.
It was just, it came down to the fact that you had to grind down the flight seat, or the pilot seat, and use its supplies. I think it was to build an assembler. And if you used it to build anything else, you were literally dead in the water until, for some reason, I remember that we couldn't just grind it back down. It was like we lost something somewhere.
Well, moving on a little bit from that so we don't get bogged down with the start is, I think 2 or 3 episodes later, we managed to get was it a small ship going, I think? We managed to get some sort of small ship, and we bumped into Tazoo. Basically, we introduced Tazoo into the series with a little bit of a cinematic. And throughout the whole of the seasons, me and Sage had a bit of a disagreement with how to do cinematics. I don't know, you want to share your side on this, Sage? Like, I wanted to do more, you kind of want to do less or something.
Yeah, at first I was sort of alright with, like, as a cheesy, it's clearly scripted, it's clearly fake, but it's short. You know, it's like 2 minutes max, and ta-da, you've introduced a character. That's sort of how we did it with Tazoo, except for we had more running about there, and just finding him in the pod. But, over time, I became even less interested in scripted stuff. I think part of it is because we didn't really plan out too much in the background. Like, I like freeform semi-scripted.
That's what it was, wasn't it?
You're going to be chased. I'm like, okay, I like that, but I'd like to know, I'd like to have information that I could go ahead and find out why they were chasing us. Not in the moment, but like Innick when it came along.
Because that brings us on to the factions quite well, doesn't it? Because the things with the factions is we had these amazing ideas of introducing Innick, the rebels, and so on. But the problem with them factions that we realized is we introduced so much, but we really wanted to tell a story of them. But we couldn't really tell a story because the story was our survival story. So it made you guys ask a lot of questions about the particular factions themselves, if that makes sense to you two.
Yeah, we kind of should have kind of sat down and maybe written up a bit of a...
It was getting that information that we'd made up, because I think we had a brainstorm session where we described the whole faction, the loyalties and everything.
I think we ended up having a bit of a disagreement on that too. Because I was like, well, who's in Innick? We need to figure out who founded them, where did they come from, what do they do? Are they like a, what's their political structure? Are they democracy? Are they fascists? Are they, conglomerate of companies in space? And we started having disagreements on that, and then we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out.
Work it out.
And then it just sort of never got figured out. So every time they showed up, I'm like, okay, here goes these stupid bastards again.
It was.
And then
the
drones
had the different loyalties as well, didn't they?
Showed up too. I'm like, okay, here goes the drones, which you'll hear me call them these stupid drones because I always felt their stories were very, well, it's just, yeah, I am stupid drone, beep, beep, boom, and they blow up, and of course, space engineers is space engineers. So you try to do anything complex, and it blows up in your face anyway, so it just added to my overall hatred of those stupid drones. I think that one episode where I just went crazy and started cutting them down, I can't even remember how much of it was really part of the script.
It wasn't part of the script, you just disabling drones.
Hate these
things. That was always the fun thing about doing scripted ones of Usage, was the fact that
you never knew what was going to happen.
Yeah, if you're going to stick to script, or is he going to go off on a tangent?
Like the thing is, we had a little bit though of the script was freeform, but it was to that point where sometimes it would go that freeform that it would go off the script and everyone would not know what to do because it hadn't been planned out, that sort of eventuality.
Or I'd literally just go, I don't like where this is going, and just jump ship and start causing havoc.
It's
Sorry
something
about that, but
we
I
did-
couldn't help it.
It
Well,
did
I get
go
it.
wrong. It did go wrong. You were like, this is going to happen once you hit this button. You hit the button, it's like,
Nothing happens or something explodes like up the other
space
side.
engineers.
It's like, oh, and then Aaron slides in with like a really, I don't know, basic line. The door is opening. Or
And then it just cuts to the door open.
yeah.
I don't know how many times you'd be explaining an idea to me. I'd be like, okay, well, you have a person for this, and you're like, yeah. I'm like, wait, you have something? Well, I'll find people. It's like, okay, or you'd explain this big complex idea, and I'd instantly start asking 200 questions, like, so how are you going to make this door open?
Yeah.
Well, how are you going to make that work? It'll work. Well, how? It's like, oh, no,
It was like
we're going to get in there
set,
and have to
wasn't it?
stop 20 seconds, yeah.
A certain set of
Everything was
things
a
had to
set.
work to function all together. But let's anyway, back to the sort of series itself. So we all had our particular favourite ships in the first season. Even Scott as an extra in the first season. I think you got to sample a few of our earlier ship creations. Did you have a particular favourite between them? Like of the first. Hang on. Let's just say of the season in general of everything, like from the beginning to end, your favourite ship, the one ship that made you go, "That's my creation. That's my baby."
It wasn't my creation, but before it even crashed on the planet, the Hephaestus hybrid thing we built, just because it was so quirky, but worked
It was an ugly
so
ship,
well.
that one.
Oh, it was ugly.
Bloody ugly ship.
I love the interiors of it though, because it was it had some sort of weird logic to it. Like you had the bridge living area, and you had to go down the stairwell, and
It's like
then
a
you went past
maintenance
all
bit.
the reactors,
Yeah, I know.
and you were like looking down on the refineries. It felt like a real ship. The outside was obviously like a mixture
Whoa.
between the original Hephaestus, fusion craft, which was actually the leftovers of that red ship. There
Yeah,
were
it was
still a few red
amazing how long
blocks
we
in
kept
there.
that together.
And then there was you'd go down into like what was like the Enterprise wing, like a quarter of the cylindrical section from an Enterprise Star Trek ship that was just sticking out there, which was actually part of a hangar that merged with the cube. It was just a very interesting thing. It was ugly,
jump
but it
drives
was
in there, I think,
a
as
good
well.
experiment. Yeah, they were.
And it
shooting
stored
there
everything.
some
The important
lights.
things, it managed to store all the ships we had at the time and transport them around. I mean, something's disconnected in the inside and went mental. And there was a lot behind the scenes of things that we didn't show, where we had to do a lot of cleaning inside, where we'd come to it one episode and there was just bits floating around, and maybe there was a whole ship disappeared.
It had so many copy blueprints of just random ships where it's like, okay, we're in a new world now, I have to copy and paste all these in. Because when we started the thing too, we had started it before they actually had, I mean, they didn't have, barely anything of that, what they have today, but it was before you could go from planet to planet. The planets didn't exist, honestly, when we
Just to
first
make
started
planets or make asteroids, didn't
we had
you?
to fake that with a fake skybox and a little planet, like a massive asteroid you'd put together. But it also meant that if we wanted to go to one of those scripted worlds, we had to copy everything into our blueprints, load up the other world, and paste it in there, piece at a time. You couldn't copy the whole ship.
The
and
cuts
all
were
the
so
little ships
obvious though as
attached to
well,
it.
weren't they?
Yeah,
Like,
they could be
we're
pretty
going
obvious.
into another world, and then suddenly a planet appears, and you're landing on it, and he's like,
Yeah,
oh, yeah.
It was also like that ship when you moved it. There was always a 50-50 if you're going to hear something explode and rip out the back. It's
yeah.
something disconnected. Or I remember we did a cinematic once, and we had someone as a drone, and your marker got disconnected from the floor and pinned them to the wall.
Yeah, it was
Speared
like
them.
where's the robot? He's supposed to be in here, and we go into the room, and it's like the marker had somehow popped loose. I don't know how, but somehow the bottom piece that was
I
holding it
remember
just
that
popped
cinematic.
loose, and it just went thunk right up
Wasn't
the
that in
wall
like
and
the
killed
fake
someone.
bridge side thing? It was like in the fake bridge, wasn't it? We
Yeah,
walked
like
in
the
after the cryo
observation
rooms,
deck.
yeah,
It's like,
and then the
what the hell
drone's
happened?
pinned to the
Why is
seat.
this here?
I actually think that was Captain Jack.
Oh, was it? I
I
don't
think it was Captain Jack.
because we had some extras at that time, but I always thought it was just the guys you had around on TS.
It might have been Tazu.
But anyway, we're going off subject a
Because
little
it
bit.
definitely did kill somebody. It was like, oh, whoops.
Today.
And oh god, and all the times we switched it over to creative for something, and I'm like, that's gonna be so obvious. None of the health bars are gonna drop down, and no one's gonna be able to die, and then we won't have this funny, silly bit when someone dies for no reason. And then the times we didn't switch it to creative and someone died, we went, okay, maybe we should have this time. And it's like, just get it back here. And that's before we had Space Master too, so
Oh,
you couldn't
gosh.
teleport people around. You had to literally spawn to the spawn bay and walk all the way back somewhere instead of just teleporting over.
It's got so the thing is, there's lots of issues still with the game, but the amount of issues that we've got, there's a lot of luxuries been added from that earlier time when we were really struggling to do it. But going anyway back to the series before we get too distracted by Space Engine itself in general. So what ended up happening by the end of that season is we had the introduction of Scott. That was, I think, season 3, where we started messing around with the drones a little bit more. The drone cinematics in themselves were very tiresome, very consuming, because we required so many people to control the drones, and then on top of that we had some drones being required to mess around with scripts, and building the places for these scenes to go just take place took days in itself in some cases.
Yeah, groups of us getting together and just building big drone facilities and stuff.
And then for
also,
the amount of time it was on
anybody
screen
that
as
says,
well.
why didn't you just use NPCs and autopilot and stuff like that?
Oh.
A lot of that didn't exist or was broken. When
I remember just drones flying to
that.
walls and stuff when I started first originally using that script. Then we had, every now and then we had like a blasting out, I'd call it like a shooter episode, where we'd just run through an area and shoot a load of people. I think we had one quite recently, just the actual episode where Sage disappeared and we never know what happened to him or wherever you want to go.
Yeah, that was a world of who just shot the main characters.
Yeah,
Because
the main
after
characters are all dead. What are you doing?
After I disappear, I came back as one of the shooters, so I'm trying to like do everything that Scott says. I see one of the other guys you had there to do the shootings, and he runs up and shoots you or Scott. I'm like, why did you do this? Now we must reset. And I remember at one point, you, Aaron, probably, or Scott went, well, why don't we just do it in creative? It's like, but people have to die for the story.
Yeah.
And you don't expect people to be doing backspace and really quickly clicking the thing. You don't see everyone just suddenly stand still before they drop dead.
That was really, it was really awful. Like, it was the only way of doing it because people were just dying randomly. Like, there was no way of like keeping people alive. But pushing a little bit further forward from that point, actually going back, we also created Henry. That caused a bit of a legend that I think Sage really hates. I also think Scott really hates.
I go out my way to kill it.
It's a tiny little ship, but it's like, if it's Aaron's ship, let it live. I don't care for it.
We dragged that around in a corpse mode for absolutely ages on the roof of things.
Whatever happened to my little? Oh, I remember now.
That when we jumped into planet and it
the first scripted thing when we were supposed to be leaving, like the season 2 world, I think, where we had the 2 asteroid bases we were sort of building. I was building Hephaestus, and you and Tazu were building a asteroid base with a big bridge and everything.
Oh, is that with the door crushed Henry?
Yeah, I think so. I had what was that ship I had stuck in there? Horus. I loved that ship because it worked so well. It's just I'm gonna float away and shoot at stuff. And I remember the scripted part was supposed to be us running around to the side and seeing the ship, and I'd get in it and I try to fly a little bit. But I remember I turned the corner. And I'm like, oh, that's what all the gunshots was. Because it was like Tazu controlling the bots or something at that point, and he had just completely shredded the ship. I'm like, well, so much for that. Let's keep running. It's just like, okay, that ship's dead forever.
So moving back a little bit anyway to the series. So we had Scott's introduction, and when I was reading this really funny wiki article about Scott,
God, my useless ship.
Yeah, apparently Scott's like this. It was completely wrong, this wiki article about Scott, but it just kind of summed him up as this plugged-in extra. And I was like, oh, no, Scott was a viable character. He has his own personality.
Well, he started out as an extra where he was just like the captain of a ship reading scripted lines in a really cringy fashion with a seat that people are having trouble controlling. And we all just kind of went, well, make it part of the gag. Just keep messing with the seat.
Keep spinning that chair.
Yeah, I remember that.
And the big facade ship that was like, everyone's like, I want to see the rest of it. There's nothing left.
There's nothing there.
That ship
it was a prop
just
ship.
a set.
Don't look behind the curtains.
So I spent like half an hour fiddling on an elevator at one point, and it's like, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this?
You were trying to make the outside and stuff look good and stuff, but the thing was, it was like one of them, western towns. Like if one bit if like the side just fell down, you just see this empty hollow space and the people
like,
behind
no
the scenes like,
it's just a paper plate.
Truman showing Space
I wanted
Engineers.
to build it up, but no, it's like, the game wasn't stable enough back then.
Moving on to the little bit more modern, when planets got introduced, we also got like really hyped into it, so we had to, experience what a planet was like. So when we crashed on that alien planet, we realized that, in my personal opinion, planets I thought were a bit too easy. I don't know about you guys.
Let's talk about the crash first. Crashing that ship
It didn't crash, it bounced.
Oh,
Yeah,
well,
I was
well,
so annoyed that like you didn't let me keep it in one piece. I was like, yes, we were going down, everything was going fine. This is when landing gears were still derpy as frack. I mean, they're not exactly perfect
With
yet.
that speed, I was expecting this amazing crash,
Well,
and then
the
suddenly,
thing is,
boing.
we took more damage on the way down because all of our ships in the cargo bay, we had so many ships. We had like the war bus, we had Lumpy
Oh,
stored
that
there. I
disappeared
think
somewhere. That's
we
still
had
somewhere
like
else.
3
went
or
to
4 other
orbit.
ships there. I mean, I think we had Scott's silly Derpfest 5000 ship.
Oh,
that
the
he had,
welding shit.
Yeah, the one you were
The
talking
spinny
about a
light.
little bit ago,
Oh,
where
no, not
Scott
that.
was so confident about the ship, talking about it for like 2 days before we started recording. We get in there and it's like half these pipes aren't even hooked up.
No, that was
Oh,
earlier.
yeah, that was annoying.
that
What
was-
a-
Well, yeah,
oh.
That
This was a new
2-1.
version of
This
that
was-
ship,
that
but it
was
was still
2-1.
the same basic design.
It
was
worked.
Tool,
It was like
the
Tool
Nightmare
6.7, wasn't it?
Yeah,
really?
it went through so many different iterations.
By the time
But-
we got to that point, it was working fine.
Yeah, it was working all right. But the fact is, we had all these fantastic ships in our cargo hold, and it's not like
We lost nearly all of them,
they
actually.
just died on the crash. It was on the way down. All the landing gears went, nah, I don't think I'm going to work today. And
It's over a
just
certain
suddenly
speed, I
I
think,
start
wasn't
seeing
it?
these explosions and flames start coming out of the cargo hold. I'm like, what's happening? And long and behold, the ships all sort of flew out of our own craft.
So,
But
another
that
thing
co-
about
and
that
then the
episode,
crash. And then the crash
though,
happened.
that person that we
Boom.
rescued, okay, to bring on the ground, this is like this really controversial topic people keep going on about, is, you know when he got killed off by a spider? Like in the first part, it was
Yeah.
like, some people thought it was Tazoo. It was Tazoo, wasn't it? Who was running around, who was the actual person.
I
But
can't remember who it was.
he was the
now.
extra, but that was like, we kind of like didn't know what to do with this extra person that we had, and we were like, should we introduce a new character? And then we were like, no, let's murder him.
I mean, it was something like stupid, like literally just run out, made someone controlling a spider and just run out, wait till they touch the guy, then hits backspace.
Then you built that massive sort of blimp thing as well. I thought that was an amazing ship.
Yeah. Well,
It
we,
was-
we skipped the full crash there because we did have a bounce.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
why you
Mm.
never
We
see that
bounced it
crash.
4 times.
Is because the ship was going down. I completely ballsed up the landing. I really thought I'd have it, and I completely ballsed it up.
Hmm.
And then we hit the side of a mountain, and we literally bounced with 0 damage. It just goes boing. I'm like,
You,
okay.
the thing is, you really wanted that ship. You were like, you were gonna be like, oh, let's keep it exactly how it is. That was a really good landing by me. And I was like, we can't. If people expect a ship to be ripped apart, uploaded, we could have literally taken back off with some hydrogen thrusters.
I
and,
think-
Yeah,
and no
we
issue.
were fine. The ship was just like, oh, I'm all right, cool.
And I think
no
I did-
damage.
I copied it and then smashed it off the ground and copied it, smashed it off
Yeah,
the
I
ground.
think we threw a few warheads, and then we smashed it into the ground, and like you were saying, and then sort of world sculpted it a little bit.
We had to put a little bit of effort into underneath. But coming away from that, then after Sage left the series, you basically.
Oh, you skipped the blimp.
Did
You
I
skipped
skip the blimp? Go back to the blimp. Back to the blimp.
Yeah,
Sorry.
trying to keep this. You know, we keep
Okay, I'll
jumping
keep
forward and jumping
moving.
back because you keep like Mach 3 here.
I'm
Okay,
going to go through it
hit
in
the
a nice
warp drive.
compact order.
Just okay, first.
Okay,
before
I
we
guess
go-
I'm just not a very compact person. And then Scott, Jesus, he's probably like, "You're still leaving out the time I kicked a shrub."
Well, just remember how many wheeled vehicles you built, Aaron, on that planet.
Oh,
Well,
God.
Sage was building the blimp, and how many of them survived more than 30 seconds?
No, I think I built like 2 or 3, and not one of them made it past like 2 episodes. I don't think we had one that had that arm on the back. That was a
That
lovely
was so
idea.
cool. That
a
was
lovely
so cool.
idea.
It's like,
But-
I'm gonna weld your walls, and then the world just decided, no,
Then
I'm
for some
not
reason
gonna
the
do
wall
this.
disappeared. Where did the wall even go?
So much stuff went wrong. Well, the spiders ate part of it.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
worlds
What-
back then were
Where's the
so
thumpers?
janky.
It's just,
Oh
where's
yeah,
the
then we
thumpers?
introduced the thumper thing, didn't we? That to mine.
Talked about it.
We talked about it, but we also had that mine thumper thing, that extracted thing. But I think
Oh,
that's a bit
yeah,
too far
Nanite.
forward.
Yeah, that's way farther.
All right, back to your blimp anyway. We went back to the blimp.
Yeah,
and
we
talk about
built-
the blimp.
I was building all my little crafts and stuff, building the blimp,
The
you know, that
warp gate
super
things
blimp.
we had.
Mhm. Yeah, we added the stargates, and because
were
we needed
really
ice
good.
to get off the planet, so we were going to go to the North Pole, and that's when I got a bit bored of finding out it's actually a 25-minute flight.
Oh
and-
god, that
Oh,
that was
yeah.
horrible. Like I
was-
had to live there, didn't you? We built that house there, but no.
Yeah, we
I've
built
never-
we transported that base you built that was a little
That
janky,
loop
but
you
it
did.
had
Do you remember the
you
loop?
know, most of it. Yeah, and we tried to take it there, and I just was like, I'm bored. So I did a flip. It worked. I thought I gained enough altitude.
Hmm.
I'm like, I'm going to do it again. I didn't have enough altitude, and that's when we were just like, okay, we'll just copy and paste it. Just we're
Yeah.
never going to make that flight.
No,
It's
I just
25
didn't have the
minutes of
patience.
Pure nothing.
I am never going to be in a car with you in a long journey.
Oh, yeah. Let's just jump up this bridge.
Well, listen, that's where you got a cell phone, you got all this other stuff, you know. I'm recording just in case the engine's shut off or something, so I don't want to just alt-tab and put on a bunch of music at the moment, you know, because if I do, then I lose your voices in the way I record. So I'm like, okay, I'll just carry on. I'll just carry on just in case something magical happens.
I'm sitting there exactly the same, holding my finger over the record button just in case something happened. Nothing happened until I looked to the left and Sage is like, what? It's
upside down.
It's upside down. He made it though, and I was just like, oh, what is this?
The first time you made it,
I know what I'm doing. And then I didn't.
I remember from my angle, it looked like you were just about to hit the ground, and then it just pulled up. You're like, oh my god, how's he done that? Then the second time it just went wrong.
Yeah, I thought I'd regained my height, and I didn't.
So moving a little bit further ahead from that, so after the blimp incident, we managed to get back into space with a really crappy hydrogen rocket, but we also introduced the nanite things, and the nanite things are a hot topic as well, because some people feel that they're a very cheatsy doodles thing, but at that point, we were very, you know, it was just, everything was taking so long to build, it felt like we needed some way, you know, speeding things up for our own insanity.
That's the problem, it is, in ways, cheatsy doodles sometimes, but if you want us to build big and cool, amazing things, survival takes time.
Literally, I think we completed with the nanites, we completed a build that would have took us about 7 episodes within 2 episodes, so you could see more being built, more going on, and I just thought it was a great way of doing it. I don't know what Sage or Scott thought about that.
I think they're pretty cool.
It keeps our sanity,
especially with the upgrade modules. Something that the proper dev team needs to put on for everything is upgrade modules, because it's a very versatile tool. I think maybe they could figure out some more requirements for the thing, but it's an awesome thing, those nanites. And this is also the time where I was starting to get a bit hella burnt out. Aaron was saying, hey, we need to inject some action into it, which of course I'm pretty sure he's probably right, the viewers want to see it, but I'm just like, I don't like scripted action-y action. But this is something we shouldn't be trying to inject in the game. This is something we should be poking the devs at, saying, hey, look, you need to add gameplay here. You have added some pretty cool and great mechanics.
It's the point, isn't it? Exactly.
Awesome foundation, but where's the actual gameplay? It's you've given us spectator and all this stuff that we've asked for, but you still need to give us a progression path. You need to give us a
goal.
Even if the goal is
tiny goal,
build super reactor. Well, to build the super reactor to power your super ship, you have to go to this planet and gather this material and this alien artifact. Here you have to gather that so you can learn how to make it. You know, stuff that's not super
makes you move around, yeah.
But yeah, that actually gives you a goal to complete your own goal of building a super ship or something.
Because to a certain extent,
that's one of the reasons I was so against scripted stuff. I'm like, if we do this, we're pushing the buck off. We're not telling the devs to get their arse in gear. We're just saying, we'll fill it out with our own scripted nonsense.
Yeah, that's maybe the biggest flaw in Space Engine. I love Space Engine. We all love Space Engine. We all put way too many hours into this game. But the biggest flaw is there is no.
The thing is, there's no goal. That's what Scott's trying to get.
You have to make your own
goal. And the goal is to. The thing is, most games and most sandbox games, the goal is just build something awesome, and I believe that's what they should be. But the point of achieving that goal usually requires jumping through some gameplay mechanic hoops, and that's what Space Engineers lacks. The only gameplay mechanic hoop that Space Engineers currently has is leave the planet to get platinum. That's the only thing that's there right now, because everything else you can do is on a planet, or once you're in space, there you go, you just sit in one spot and mine asteroids for the materials. There's no loops, there's no hoops to jump through to continue upgrading your stuff to get to your final goal that you set. Because you set your goal of building a megaship, and you can just sit there and build your megaship.
Even if you do have a goal, though, Sage, even if you do have a goal in the actual game itself, to a certain extent, I think they try to expect you to make your own goal, but the problem is with that is, with our survival series, we made so many goals for ourselves, we kept meeting them, so thinking of goals that were actually not getting kidnapped or crashing into something,
getting knocked out,
getting knocked out,
you're in your kind of ran out. Knocked out.
Because it comes back to you start with nothing and rebuild. You start, you rebuild. That's what it tends to be. But you were.
Oh god, I just remembered. We had the salvage area and everything, and 3D printer and we were starting to capture ships. What was that, in season 2?
Mm-hmm.
And I was so excited for that. It's like, yes, we can build a huge empire and we can build massive ships and start capturing stuff and managing resources. And then somebody added a brum button.
The brum. That really upset you. But it was a button that I didn't think anyone would press it.
You had spent so long on that machine, and you finally got it up and running, and I didn't believe it would work, and it worked. So I'm like, oh my god, this is incredible. We now have the chance to, like, just be these awesome space pirate kings. And I'm a peaceful guy, but it was like, it's too cool to pass up. And then it blew up in our faces.
Well,
and,
I didn't. To be honest,
and we left that planetoid.
We had everything there, but to a certain point, when we started capturing and trying to bring in them ships were so hard to actually capture. Everything we threw at them it got wrecked, and it was just not worth it.
With the printer, we could start making ship designs and figure out how to capture them, because we could iterate more quickly on it. And it's like, yeah, we can start, and make a swarm of them, make these huge things. Oh, we lost one ship, but we captured a big enemy ship. Well, we can grind it down on a grinder wall. And it all went boom.
Right, anyway, so wrapping this up more to the end of the series, after Sage decided to move on, you decided to start your single survival, didn't you, to replace the joint survival?
Yeah, I was burning out on, like when we had the Stargates and everything, I was getting pretty burnt out. Creative differences and whatnot, and just like, I don't feel like hanging out.
It's a lot of effort getting here, isn't it?
All the time right now.
Creative differences does not mean there's a fallout.
But yes, no, it's not. Like, we will all still join around and do different
personalities,
games.
And it's like, I'd rather go play something else right now. I'd rather,
yeah. And the amount of effort it
guy.
feels
Aaron,
as
you're
well.
more of a pew combat.
Yeah, I'm
guy,
more of a shooter. I'm more of a shooter. He's more of a sci-fi guy.
That happens, and it's just like, I don't really feel like talking to pew people right now. I'd rather, just go build my big space citadels and zone out for 20 minutes, I guess. But that's what happened when we had the Stargates, and I suddenly beamed up and started building that big flying rock that I called the boat. And that's when we had the nanite machines, and I could just build up that huge thing. Whatever happened to that after I left? Did you guys keep that?
Oh, I don't even know what happened to it. I think
world started going.
Well, we did with it, I think the world went to absolute shit. There was lag, there was problems, and then I implemented what I called the revamp, where I wanted to change things in a cinematic sort of way, so things were explained to a certain extent. And then we basically fell out of a cargo container on a ship, and it started to go really well with explaining everything. We'd explain the series really well, and then it went back in the other direction because we got stuck building this massive underground base that just took too long, and it started to lose the story aspect as the longer we stayed underground. And then Tazu wanted to come back into the series, and I thought, it was a great idea, and it still is. But the problem is with that is now we've got like multiple bits of this base going on, but the idea is we need to keep moving to different locations to make the series interesting. Otherwise, if we stay in one spot, I always feel it gets too stagnant, and I get personally bored if we're in one location for too long and we don't have a goal to get somewhere else rather than just the goal of constant, building an evolution of that one base, one static point. So that brings us to this video that you've probably seen maybe today. Well, the idea of this is we've left the planet to reset all our modifications, and we should be somewhere. Well, I don't think we should spoil it, should we, Scott?
No.
But that is a little bit of a wrap up of the survival series. Anything you guys want to add to? We think we've talked about our favorite moments. We talked about our favorite ships, our favorite sort of stationary areas. I don't know. I think, what was the biggest cinematic one we ever did? I think, was that the one where you died, Sage? Oh, no, I didn't die. I mean,
disappeared.
How was that?
Just to be clear, I'm not just re-showing up in this season. So
no.
People think me being here means I'm going to show up. There's no current plans for that. So let's just be clear on that. So people aren't like, wait a minute, I thought I heard Sage and the other team. I thought he was.
No, ideally for this, I wanted everyone. I wanted Tazu as well, but we just couldn't get Tazu around because he was busy with live stuff. But I managed to get Sage.
As Tazu usually is.
Yeah, that's the thing is as well. We wanted him back in the series so much, but the problem is he misses one or two episodes every now and then because he's either doing some baby kissing or, I don't know, saving the planet.
Tazu, great, interesting, sometimes very funny, unintentional person. Very unreliable when it comes to getting him on to
spontaneous
actually record stuff.
The things that guy can
most
do.
Spontaneous. It's
God.
He's in our chat here all of a sudden. Hi, Tazu. It's like,
more importantly, touches something and next minute it's levitating. Or the music cave. I don't get it. Why did he do it? But it happened. And then
it was literally Tazu showed up in our chat, and it's like he needs some way to be back. I'm like, how about he just magically teleported into the music cave?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that's how my mind works, like really cheesy Doctor Who plots sometimes.
Yeah, because there was that time, wasn't there, when he had to, he wanted to be part of the series, but he couldn't always be here. So every now and then we had to make a magic reason for him to be back.
Military stuff ping-ponging him around, and it's like, okay.
Well, let's wrapping this video to a close. So far, I have really enjoyed parts of the survival series. Other parts, I've absolutely dreaded doing the episodes just for the amount of problems that it's just taken to do that one episode. I think one or twice we've had episodes that have took most of the day to actually build and fix.
The machines will walk. Trust me, the machines will walk. Hey, Aaron, why is this one exploding?
And his legs are freaking out all over the place.
Yeah, we've been through this game for such a long time. We've been through the worst and we've been through the best. We've pushed this game to a point of.
The survival series at the moment is literally at such a point where, with this reset, hopefully it eliminates the problems that have been causing us to. I think I've skipped 3 or 4 weeks versus survival just for the pure factor that getting on and doing it was causing the whole base was invisible, rubbish little things were happening. So maybe cutting back to vanilla, eliminating all these possibilities of different things. Will make it more enjoyable once again, rather than coming to Monday and me going, oh no, what's going to go wrong this time? How am I going to have to fix it? Or will we be able to record?
Just make sure your times, whatever speeds, are all the way at max, because Jesus Christ, without mods, it's impossible to build anything, because the inventory sizes and everything, without upgrade modules to make your ship welders go faster, it's pointless. It's literally pointless.
Yeah, it's like, I've got 2 steel plates and 1 construction component. Woohoo!
I found that out in my singular thing when I built that ship. It's like, okay, I got to a certain point, I'm like, I'm adding mods just because this is too slow.
Well, bringing this to a close, the game is still, even though it's been out for quite a while, it's still in quite early stages, still having a lot of problems, but we're still enjoying it in different aspects. So I'd like to thank you guys for watching, and thank you guys for joining me in this sort of recap video, and we'll see you next time.
Bye!